Hello, welcome back. In this segment, I want to define the priorities for logical connectors like and, or, implies. Okay. How do we prioritize which variables will bind with which operator? In this case, would you read this as if P into Q, then not or Q? That's one possibility, right? Another possibility is assuming P to be true. Would you read it like assume P if Q, then not or Q? I read the same thing in two ways, right? So this is the proposition. One possibility to read it is like this: P and Q in one group, right? Not or Q in another group, and implies. This is one possibility. Okay. Another possibility you can interpret this. Okay. Second possibility is you assume P and you open a bracket, Q implies not or Q. So two ambiguous ways of interpreting the original proposition. This is the original proposition, and these two are different ways of interpreting it. That's because I didn't clearly agree upon the conventions to prioritize the connectives. Okay. So what is the priority? If you were to write it into a computer, of course, you need to put brackets. Otherwise, the computer wouldn't know your formula, your proposition means one option or second option. For humans, brackets are very inconvenient. They bother us. So the convention is as follows. The first priority is not. The not binds more closely, binds more tightly than or and. Okay. That's the first rule. That means what it means is you have to group the not with or in this case. So this is the first grouping. And or they bind more tightly than implies, which means the or has to be applied to the left hand side and the right hand side. So that means not or Q as in here, and also binds tightly. So P and Q must be put together in one group, and then comes the implies. So the convention is not binds more tightly than or and. That's the first convention. And the second part of the convention is or and bind more tightly than implies. Okay, that means the arrow mark. Yeah, that's the second part of the convention. All right. What about the associativity? We need to agree on that. Let's say you have P arrow mark, that means implies. Q implies or. How do you group in this case? Implies is basically from right to left. You have to write it like a right associative. The reason why I put a bracket. If you don't put any bracket, this is same as for humans. This is same as P implies Q implies R. To avoid any ambiguity, right? When you're writing in computer, it's better to put brackets. For humans, if there are no brackets, for example, this expression, right? No brackets. The way to interpret it is this way. This is not correct. The reason is that we took the Q and bind it with not R. That was not the intention. The intention is to bind Q and P together and not or and Q together and then implies separately. So this settles our priority discussion for logical connectives. That's all. Thank you very much for your attention.